Picture this, Christmas Eve. You are 8 months pregnant, standing in the snow outside your own mansion. You can see your husband through the window. He sees you too, and he turns away. The lock clicked 3 times. Claire Montgomery stood on the front steps of her own home, her hand frozen on the brass doorknob. 8 months pregnant, Christmas Eve, snow beginning to fall on her shoulders like cold accusations. Through the beveled glass doors, she could see everything. The Christmas party was in full swing. Champagne glasses caught the light from the chandelier she had picked out last spring. Laughter spilled out, muffled but unmistakable. The tree in the foyer sparkled with ornaments she had hung just 2 weeks ago, when her belly was slightly smaller and her world made sense. She knocked again. Her knuckles hurt from the cold, from the repetition. Inside, Preston turned. Their eyes met through the glass. For 1 second, Claire thought maybe this was all a terrible misunderstanding. Maybe the locks were broken. Maybe he could not hear her over the party noise. Then he looked away, deliberately, and walked back toward the living room where the crowd gathered. The baby kicked hard, like she was trying to tell her mother something Claire's brain could not quite process yet. "Preston!" Claire called out, her breath made clouds in the freezing air. Please, it is cold." No response, just the steady thump of music. "Have yourself a merry little Christmas." The irony was not lost on her. Claire tried the doorbell. The sound echoed through the marble foyer. She watched a woman in a red dress glance toward the door, but Preston said something to her, touched her arm, and the woman walked away. This was not real. This could not be happening. Not on Christmas Eve. Not while she was 8 months pregnant with his child. Not after 3 years of marriage. Her suitcase sat at her feet. The one she had packed for the hospital. The one that was supposed to stay in the car until February when the baby came. Preston had asked her to bring it inside earlier today. She thought that was sweet. Prepared. Now she understood. He had been planning this. She tried the side door, also locked. The code panel for the garage had been changed. The number she had used 1,000 times suddenly did not work. Her key did not fit anymore. Everything had been changed. Through the window, Claire saw Vanessa Sterling, Preston's business development director. Young, beautiful, wearing a dress that probably cost more than Claire's wedding gown. Vanessa touched Preston's arm, laughed at something he said. He threw his head back in that way he used to laugh with Claire. Back when they were happy. Back when she thought they were happy. The snow fell harder. Claire's maternity coat was inside. She had left it hanging by the door when she went out to get something from the car. That was 30 minutes ago. Had it only been 30 minutes, it felt like hours. She pulled out her phone, her hands shook. Not just from cold. Lock, unlock, lock, unlock, lock. She did this sometimes when she was anxious. Checked her phone compulsively, like the act of looking would somehow change reality. Like messages would appear if she just checked one more time. Nothing. No text, no missed calls, no explanation. The party music swelled. Someone turned up the volume. More laughter, the clink of glasses, the warmth of 100 bodies inside while she stood outside in the snow, with one hand on her pregnant belly and the other clutching a phone that refused to give her answers. Then the front door opened. Just a crack. Just enough for Vanessa to slip through. Vanessa wore Preston's jacket over her shoulders, the cashmere one Claire had bought him for his birthday, the one that still smelled like his cologne. Claire's maternity coat was still inside, hanging by the door, warm, available. But Vanessa wore Preston's jacket instead. "He asked me to give you a message," Vanessa said. Her voice was smooth, practiced, like she had rehearsed this. "The marriage is over. Your things will be delivered tomorrow. He has already filed the papers." The words hit Claire like physical blows, one after another. Marriage over, things delivered, already filed. "What?" Claire heard herself say. Her voice sounded distant, not quite real. "It is better this way," Vanessa continued. "Clean break. He does not want drama. He does not want you upset. The lawyer will contact you after the holiday." "I am 8 months pregnant," Claire said. The words came out quiet, shocked. "It is Christmas Eve." Vanessa's expression did not change. "I know this is hard, but Preston has made his decision. You need to respect that." The door closed. The lock clicked. The party music swelled again. Someone laughed. It might have been Preston. Claire stood in the snow, one hand on her belly. The baby kicked again. Strong, persistent, like she knew before Claire did that everything had changed. The Christmas lights on the house blinked. Red, green, gold, white. The colors blurred through Claire's tears. She had hung those lights. She had decorated that tree. She had planned the menu for this party. She had invited half the guests, and now she was locked outside in the snow while her millionaire husband partied with his mistress inside the home they had built together. Her phone buzzed. Not Preston, his mother, Constance Montgomery. The text was formal. Perfect punctuation. No warmth. I am deeply sorry for my son's behavior tonight. However, I cannot interfere in his marriage. I have sent a care package to your mother's address. All the best with the baby. Not grandchild, not granddaughter, just the baby. Already establishing distance, already choosing size. Claire stared at the text for a long moment. Then she did the only thing she could think to do. She scrolled to Beth's number and pressed call. Beth answered on the first ring. Claire, what is wrong? Can you come get me? Claire's voice cracked. I am at the house. He locked me out. I do not. I cannot. I just need. I am already in my car, Beth said. Stay on the phone with me. Do you hear me? Stay on the phone. Claire heard Beth's car start, heard her friend throwing things aside, heard the determination in her voice, the lack of surprise, like Beth had been waiting for this call for 3 years. I am so stupid, Claire whispered. I am so stupid, Beth. No, you are not stupid. You are in shock. And that is different. Where are you exactly? Front door, side, front steps. Okay. Can you get to your car? Get out of the snow. Claire looked at her car in the driveway, the silver sedan she had driven for 5 years. The one Preston kept saying she should upgrade. The one that suddenly looked like salvation. Yes, I can do that. Good. Get in the car, lock the doors, turn on the heat. I will be there in 20 minutes. Maybe 15. I am driving fast. Claire grabbed her suitcase, walked down the steps she had walked up and down 1,000 times. The steps where Preston had carried her over the threshold 3 years ago. The steps where they had taken Christmas card photos just last week. She did not look back at the house, at the party, at the life she thought she had. She got in her car, locked the doors, turned on the heat, and waited for her best friend to rescue her from a marriage that had ended without her even knowing it was in danger. Through the windshield, the snow fell harder. The Christmas lights on the house blinked cheerfully. Inside, the party continued. Preston and Vanessa and 100 guests who had no idea that outside in the cold, a pregnant wife sat crying in her car on Christmas Eve. Claire touched her belly. I am sorry, she whispered to her baby. I am so sorry. I did not know. I should have known, but I did not. The baby kicked, like she was saying it was okay. Like she was saying they would figure it out. Like she was saying they would survive this together. Headlights turned into the driveway. Beth's car, fast, purposeful. The cavalry arriving. Beth jumped out before the car fully stopped. Ran to Claire's window. Her breath made clouds in the cold air. Her face was fierce with protective anger. Come on, Beth said. Let us get you somewhere warm, somewhere safe, somewhere that bastard cannot hurt you anymore. Claire got out of her car, left her keys on the seat. It did not matter. Nothing in that car mattered anymore. Nothing in that house mattered anymore. She got into Beth's car, warm, safe, away from the mansion and the party and the husband who had locked her out in the snow on Christmas Eve while 8 months pregnant. As Beth pulled out of the driveway, Claire looked back one time, saw the house lit up like a beacon, saw the silhouettes of people inside, saw Preston through the window, champagne glass in hand, laughing. He was not looking for her, was not wondering where she had gone, was not worried about his 8 months pregnant wife, who he had just locked outside in the snow. He had already moved on, already decided, already planned this moment down to having Vanessa deliver the message while wearing his jacket. How long have you known? Beth asked quietly as they drove. I did not, Claire said, then stopped. I did. I guess I did. The signs were all there. I just kept finding reasons. What reasons? That he was busy? That the company was stressful? That the pregnancy changed things? That I was being paranoid? Claire's voice broke. That I was being like you. No offense, none taken. I would rather be right and alone than wrong and married to that piece of garbage. Beth's apartment was small, 500 square feet compared to the 8,000 square foot mansion. Mismatched ornaments on a tiny real tree. Nothing like the designer perfection Claire had created at the mansion, but somehow more honest. Wine? Beth asked as they walked in. I am 8 months pregnant. Right, more for me then. Claire almost laughed. Almost. The familiar rhythm of Beth's dark humor was like a life raft in the ocean of her shock. They sat on Beth's couch. Claire wrapped in a borrowed bathrobe that did not fit around her pregnant belly. Hands around a mug of herbal tea she was not drinking, just holding. The warmth against her palms was the only thing that felt real. Her phone sat on the coffee table. Silent. No calls, no texts, nothing from Preston. Then Beth's phone buzzed. She looked at it. Her face changed. What? Claire asked. What now? Beth turned the screen to show her. A news alert from a local website. The headline made Claire's blood turn to ice. Tech mogul's wife abandons marriage in apparent mental health crisis. Claire read the article 3 times. Each time, the words rearranged themselves into sharper weapons. The story painted her as unstable, paranoid, a woman who had abandoned her husband on Christmas Eve during a mental health episode. Preston's lawyer had already released a statement expressing deep concern for Claire's well-being and hoped that she would get the help she needed. He is painting me as crazy, Claire said. Her voice sounded hollow. He locked me out and he is telling people I left. Beth's face went white, then red. Son of a, he is establishing his narrative before you can establish yours. The truth does not matter if he controls the story, Claire whispered. Morning came too fast. Claire had not slept. She lay on Beth's couch all night, feeling the baby move, watching the ceiling, trying to understand how she had gotten here. Her mother arrived at dawn. Grace Winters had driven all night, still in her nightgown under her coat, hair uncombed, but her eyes were fierce with maternal rage. She took one look at Claire and pulled her into a hug. Careful of the belly, gentle, strong. My baby girl, Grace whispered. My poor baby girl. Claire cried, actually sobbed. All the tears she had been holding back since standing in the snow. All the fear and shame and confusion. Then her phone buzzed. Multiple notifications, Instagram, Facebook, news alerts. Preston had posted a Christmas morning photo, him and Vanessa in front of a tree, smiling, his arm around her. The caption read, sometimes life gives you unexpected gifts. Grateful to spend this Christmas with someone who makes me happy. New beginnings. The comments were pouring in. Thousands of them, most supportive, most telling him he deserved happiness. Most saying they were glad he had left his crazy wife. He posted that, Claire said, on Christmas morning, the day after he locked me out. Beth was already on her phone. We need Marcus Reynolds, best family lawyer in 3 counties. He owes me a favor. It is Christmas Day, Claire said, and your husband just declared war. We fight back now. Marcus agreed to meet them that afternoon. His office was nothing like the slick downtown firms Preston used. A converted Victorian house near the courthouse, walls covered with children's artwork, coffee rings on every surface, a tabby cat sleeping on the reception desk. Marcus himself answered the door, mid-40s, rumpled sweater, kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Claire Montgomery, he said. Come in, though I suspect this is not very merry for you, Hill. They settled in his office. The cat jumped onto the desk and knocked over a stack of papers. That is Mr. Whiskers, Marcus said. He is my paralegal. Works for Tuna. Claire almost smiled, almost. Then Marcus got serious. Show me everything. Claire laid it out. The locked door, the party, Vanessa's message, the news articles, the Instagram post, the systematic destruction of her reputation in less than 24 hours. When she finished, Marcus looked at her with an expression that was somehow both gentle and fierce. This is not a divorce strategy, he said. This is an annihilation strategy. He is not trying to negotiate. He is trying to destroy you, financially, socially, emotionally, legally, before you can even respond. The question is why? Why go nuclear like this? Claire's hands instinctively covered her belly. Marcus pulled up something on his computer. Made a phone call, spoke for several minutes. When he hung up, his face was grim. Preston's company is going public, Marcus said. IPO announcement scheduled for February. Initial valuation is $400 million. Claire's stomach dropped. The baby is due in February. Exactly, a messy divorce during IPO would hurt valuation. Investors get nervous, questions get asked, stock price drops. But if he can paint you as mentally unstable before the IPO, if he can control the narrative completely. Marcus stopped. Let Claire finish the thought herself. He gets everything, she said quietly. The company goes public clean. He is worth hundreds of millions. And I get nothing, not even your child. The words sank in like stones. Then Marcus's phone buzzed. He looked at it. His expression changed. We have another problem. What now? Child Protective Services just called my office. Someone filed a report claiming you are mentally unfit to care for your unborn child. They are scheduling an emergency home visit. Claire felt the room spin. Who filed it? Marcus met her eyes. I think we both know who. The next 72 hours were a blur of catastrophes. First, Trevor Walsh called, Preston's business partner. He sounded drunk and desperate. Claire, I need to tell you something before it is too late. The prenup. The one you signed. I never signed a prenup. Trevor's silence was damning. Preston has your signature on everything. He has been planning this for 6 months. Since the pregnancy test. I tried to stop him. I swear I tried. Claire's mind raced back. 3 months ago, September, she had signed papers. Preston had brought them home on a Tuesday night. Said they were refinancing the mortgage. Investment documents. Insurance forms for the baby. She had been exhausted. First trimester nausea had lasted into the second. She had been throwing up twice a day. Dizzy, tired, unable to think straight. He had put the papers in front of her, pointed to the signature lines. She had signed without reading. Trusted him because he was her husband, because she had never had a reason not to trust him. Oh God, Claire whispered. What did I do? You trusted your husband, Beth said firmly. That is what you were supposed to do. Second catastrophe. The news stories multiplied. More unnamed sources. More allegations. Claire had attacked Vanessa at a company event. Claire had threatened to hurt herself. Claire had been acting erratically for months. None of it was true. None of it had happened. But it was out there now. Published, public, permanent. Third catastrophe. The CPS visit. Claire had to move to a women's shelter to show stable housing. From mansion to shelter in 1 week. The contrast was brutal. Her roommate was Paula, late 50s, fleeing her own marriage after 35 years. What did yours do? Paula asked on Claire's first night. Locked me out on Christmas Eve while pregnant. Partied with his mistress. Called CPS on me. Paula considered this. Damn, mine just stole my retirement. You win. Is there a prize? Yeah, we are still here. That is the prize. The CPS investigator came 3 days later. Jessica Hartwell, professional, thorough. She reviewed everything. Security footage from the hospital parking lot that showed Claire at the mansion in the snow. Medical records showing a healthy pregnancy. Documentation of Claire's support system. When Jessica delivered her verdict, Claire held her breath. I see no evidence of mental instability, Jessica said. I see a woman who left a dangerous situation and is taking appropriate steps to protect herself and her unborn child. I am closing this investigation as unfounded, Claire cried with relief. Finally, something had gone right. But 24 hours later, Preston filed an emergency custody petition. New evidence, new allegations, new attacks. The fight was not over. It was escalating. You know what I have learned, Claire said to Beth that night. We all want to believe the best about the people we love. We make excuses. We explain away red flags. We tell ourselves stories that make the pain bearable. But sometimes the truth is simpler and harder. Sometimes the person you love is not who you thought they were, and the only choice is whether to keep pretending or to finally see clearly. I think a lot of people have been where you are, Beth said quietly. Then I hope they find their way out too. 2 a.m. Women's shelter bathroom. Claire could not sleep. The baby was doing gymnastics, kicking her ribs, pressing on her bladder, making rest impossible. But it was not just the baby keeping her awake. It was the thoughts, the memories, the constant replay of every moment she should have seen differently. She sat on the cold tile floor, back against the wall, phone in hand, doing that thing again. Lock, unlock, lock, unlock. Checking for messages that would not come. Checking for some explanation that would make this make sense. Checking for Preston to say it was all a mistake, that he was sorry, that he wanted her back. She hated herself for wanting that, hated herself for still hoping. The fluorescent light above her flickered. The shelter was quiet at this hour, just the sound of someone crying in a room down the hall. Someone else who had ended up here. Someone else whose life had fallen apart. Claire had been here for 5 days now. 5 days since the CPS visit. 5 days since she had to prove to a government agency that she was fit to raise her own child. 5 days of sleeping in a narrow bed in a shared room, eating donated food, wearing donated clothes. From mansion to shelter in 2 weeks. From wife of a millionaire to homeless single mother. From everything to nothing. Her phone rang. The sound made her jump. Who would call at 2 in the morning? Marcus, her lawyer, the man who had taken her case for free because he believed in justice more than billable hours. Check your email, he said. His voice was urgent. Awake. Now. Her hand shook as she opened it. A file transfer. Encrypted, password protected, with a note from Trevor. Preston's private server. Email backup dating back 2 years. This is everything. I am sorry it took me so long to do the right thing. Claire stared at the screen. Her heart pounded so loud she could hear it echoing off the bathroom tiles. She entered the password, waited for the files to download, watched the progress bar crawl forward. 10%, 20%, 40%. Her whole body was trembling. She did not know what she was about to find, but she knew it would change everything. The download completed. She started reading. The first email was dated 18 months ago, from Preston to Vanessa, before Claire was even pregnant, before she had any idea that her marriage was anything other than happy. The wife wants a baby. This complicates things but might work in our favor. Play devoted husband for another year. Then we file. Claims she is unstable postpartum. I get everything including the kid for leverage. You play the patient, understanding girlfriend who I find solace with during my troubled marriage. By the time this is over, I will be worth $500 million and she will have nothing. Wait for my signal. Claire read it once. Her brain refused to process the words. She read it again. Slower this time, each word landing like a punch to the gut. The wife wants a baby. This complicates things. She remembered that conversation, sitting on their back patio on a summer evening, telling Preston she was ready, that she wanted to start a family. He had smiled, taken her hand, said he wanted that too, said he could not wait to be a father, played devoted husband for another year. She remembered the next 12 months, the fertility tracking, the monthly disappointments, the tears when her period came. Preston holding her, telling her it would happen, telling her to be patient, telling her he loved her. All of it, every tender moment, every whispered I love you, every gentle hand on her belly when she finally got pregnant, every kiss on her forehead when she was sick with morning sickness. Performance, calculation, strategy, claims she is unstable postpartum. I get everything, including the kid for leverage. The kid, not our baby, not our daughter. The kid, like hope was a chess piece, like she was a bargaining chip in a business negotiation. She will have nothing. Claire made it to the toilet before she vomited, her body convulsing, her tears mixing with bile. Everything she thought she knew about her life, her marriage, her husband, coming up and out of her in violent waves. When there was nothing left to throw up, she sat back against the bathroom wall, shaking, crying, trying to breathe. There was more, so much more. She forced herself to keep reading, forced herself to see the full picture of her destruction. Shell companies in the Cayman Islands, offshore accounts in Switzerland. The IPO valuation of $400 million was based on fraudulent numbers. Preston had been cooking the books for 2 years, inflating revenue, hiding losses, creating fake partnerships that existed only on paper. The company was worth maybe 50 million, maybe less. But Preston had convinced investors it was worth 400 million. And he was about to cash out before anyone discovered the truth. But the worst discovery, the one that made Claire feel like she might actually die right there on that bathroom floor, was about Constance, Preston's mother. Email chains showed she had helped plan the prenup timing. Her sympathetic Christmas text had been drafted by Preston's lawyer 3 days before Christmas Eve. She had known the exact date Claire would be locked out, known the exact moment her daughter-in-law would be standing in the snow, pregnant and terrified. And she had done nothing, more than nothing. She had helped. There was an email from Constance to Preston dated 2 months ago. Make sure the prenup is signed before she is too far along. Pregnant women are sympathetic in court. We need documentation of her instability before the baby arrives. I have arranged for Dr. Morrison to be available if we need a psychiatric evaluation. He owes me a favor. Claire's mother-in-law had arranged for a psychiatrist to declare her insane, had planned it, scheduled it, made it part of the strategy. Every Sunday dinner, every holiday gathering, every time Constance had smiled at her, complimented her cooking, asked about the baby. All of it had been performance. All of it had been lies. Claire sat on that bathroom floor until her legs went numb, until the fluorescent light stopped flickering and settled into a steady hum, until her tears dried and her shaking stopped and something else took its place, something harder, something colder, something that felt like the beginning of something instead of the end. Paula found her there at 4 in the morning, her roommate from the shelter, the woman who had fled her own marriage after 35 years. Paula did not ask questions, did not demand explanations, just sat down on the cold tile beside Claire, put a hand on her back, was present in the way only someone who had survived their own destruction could be. They sat in silence for a long time, 2 women on a bathroom floor, 2 lives that had been blown apart, 2 survivors who had not yet figured out how to survive. The hardest part, Claire finally whispered, is admitting I knew all along. Some part of me knew, and I loved him anyway. Or loved who I needed him to be, or loved the life I thought we had. I do not even know anymore. Paula was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was gentle but certain. You loved hope, Paula said. You loved possibility. You loved the future you were building. That is not stupid, Claire. That is human. We all do it. We all choose to believe the best about the people we love. We make excuses. We explain away red flags. We tell ourselves stories that make the pain bearable. Claire looked at her. This woman she had known for less than a week. This stranger who understood her better than her own husband ever had. How do you stop? Claire asked. How do you stop believing in someone who never deserved it? Paula smiled. It was sad and knowing and full of hard-won wisdom. You do not stop believing, Paula said. You just start believing in someone better. Yourself. Marcus called again at dawn. More awake now, more urgent, more certain about what they had found. I have been reading all night, he said. Claire, this is everything. This is fraud on a massive scale. This is criminal conspiracy. This is enough to send Preston to prison for years. But what? But we have a choice to make, and I need you to understand both options before you decide. Claire waited, her hand pressed against her belly where hope was finally still, finally sleeping, unaware that her future was about to be determined by a conversation between her mother and a lawyer at 6 in the morning. Option 1, Marcus said, we use this as leverage. We go to Preston's lawyers. We show them what we have. We make them settle. Big. 5 million minimum. Maybe 10, maybe 20. Preston will pay anything to keep this quiet. You never work again. Hope is set for life. You get the house. You get security. You get everything you need to raise your daughter in comfort. And in exchange, you sign a non-disclosure agreement. You never talk about what Preston did. The fraud stays hidden. He goes forward with his IPO. He becomes a billionaire, and you stay silent forever. Claire closed her eyes. $20 million. A house, security, everything she had been terrified of losing. What is option 2? Option 2, we report everything to the SEC. We give these emails to the FBI. We hold a press conference, and tell the whole world exactly what Preston Montgomery did to you and to his investors. His empire burns, criminal charges are filed, the IPO collapses, the company is worthless. And me? You get custody. Full custody, probably. Preston will be too busy fighting criminal charges to fight for visitation. But Claire, Marcus paused. There is no money. The company crashes. The assets are frozen. Lawsuits eat up whatever is left. You would be raising hope alone and broke instead of alone and comfortable. Claire opened her eyes, looked around the bathroom. The fluorescent light, the cracked tiles, the donated soap in the dispenser. This was broke. This was struggling. This was the bottom. But this was also truth. This was also freedom. This was also the beginning of something real instead of the continuation of something fake. How long do I have to decide? 24 hours, maybe less. Other people have access to that server. Someone else could find these emails. Someone else could report it. And when they do, we lose control of the narrative. We lose our leverage. We lose our choice. Claire hung up, sat in the silence of the bathroom, felt her daughter move inside her, strong kicks, insistent, like hope was trying to tell her something. You know what, baby girl, Claire whispered. Go on, do the way. I have spent 3 years making decisions based on what was safe, what was comfortable, what Preston wanted. And look where that got us. Hope kicked again. Maybe it is time to make a decision based on what is right, even if it costs us everything. The shelter served oatmeal for breakfast, lumpy, bland, nothing like the eggs Benedict Claire used to have delivered from the country club. But she ate every bite because hope needed fuel, because survival required strength, because she was done being the woman who could not function without luxury. Paula sat across from her, both of them silent, both of them processing their own private devastations over institutional oatmeal and weak coffee. Claire's phone rang. She did not recognize the number. But something made her see the answer, Claire. The voice made her freeze. Smooth, familiar, confident. The voice she had woken up to for 3 years. The voice that used to tell her he loved her. We need to talk. Preston, 6 weeks of silence. 6 weeks of lawyers and press releases. And character assassination. And now suddenly he was calling directly. Like they were old friends catching up. Like he had not locked her out in the snow on Christmas Eve. Do we? Claire heard herself say. Her voice was steadier than she expected. Colder. I have a settlement offer. Very generous. I think you will want to hear it. Claire looked at Paula across the table. Paula raised an eyebrow. Mouthed, who is it? Claire mouthed back, Preston. Paula's expression hardened into protective anger. I am listening, Claire said. $5 million. Full medical coverage for you and the baby for life. A house, nothing huge but nice. 4 bedrooms, good school district. College fund for the baby. Everything you need to live comfortably. All you have to do is sign some papers. What papers? Just standard stuff. Joint custody agreement, mutual non-disclosure. A statement that our marriage ended amicably due to irreconcilable differences. There it was. The non-disclosure. The silence. The price of his crimes. And the NDA covers what exactly? Just the usual confidentiality clauses, financial details, private matters. Nothing you would want public anyway. Nobody needs to know the details of our marriage. You mean like the fraudulent IPO, the cooked books, the offshore accounts, the emails where you planned to steal my baby and have me declared insane? Preston's silence was everything. Complete, shocked, calculating. She could practically hear his brain recalibrating, adjusting to this new reality where she knew everything. Whatever you think you have, Preston finally said. His voice had changed. Harder now, more dangerous. It will not hold up. My lawyers will bury you. You are living in a shelter, Claire. You have $3,000 and a lawyer working for free. I have teams, resources, money. You cannot win this fight. Claire felt something shift inside her. Not the baby, something else. Something that had been dormant for 3 years. Something that Preston's cruelty had finally woken up. You are probably right, Claire said slowly. I probably cannot win. You have more money, more lawyers, more power. You can drag this out for years. You can bury me in legal fees. You can make my life hell. Then be smart, Preston said. Take the money. Move on. Think about the baby. But here's the thing, Preston. Claire's voice got stronger, more certain. I cannot win, but I can make you lose. I can make sure the whole world knows exactly what kind of man you are. I can make sure your IPO never happens. I can make sure investors know their $400 million company is actually worth $50 million. I can make sure you spend the next 10 years explaining to federal prosecutors why your books do not add up. You would not dare. Would I not? I am living in a women's shelter. I have nothing left to lose. What exactly are you going to take from me that you have not already taken? Silence. Long, heavy. Claire could hear Preston breathing, could imagine his face turning red, could picture him pacing in whatever expensive room he was calling from. Do not be stupid, Claire. Think about the baby. Think about Hope's future. 5 million, 10 million, 20 million. Name your price. Whatever it takes to make this go away. And there it was. The desperation beneath the threats. The fear behind the confidence. He needed her silence more than she needed his money. Claire looked across the table at Paula. At this woman who had lost everything and was rebuilding anyway. At this stranger who had become family in the space of a week. She thought about Hope, about the kind of mother she wanted to be, about what she wanted her daughter to see when she looked back at this moment. A mother who took money to stay silent about crimes? Who let a con artist become a billionaire on fraud? Who chose comfort over truth? Or a mother who fought back? Who spoke up? Who chose integrity even when it cost everything? I will call you back, Claire said, and hung up. Paula was staring at her. Did you just hang up on your millionaire husband? I did. The same husband who locked you out on Christmas Eve? The same when I'm on. How much money did he offer you? 20 million? Paula's coffee cup stopped halfway to her mouth. You hung up on $20 million? I did. Why? Claire looked down at her belly, at Hope, at the future that was growing inside her despite everything. Because I just realized something, Claire said. He needs me more than I need him. And I am done being the one who needs. I am done being the one who begs. I am done being the one who takes whatever scraps he decides to throw. She picked up her phone, called Marcus. We are going public, she said. All of it. The fraud, the emails, everything. I want the world to know exactly what Preston Montgomery did. Claire, are you sure? Once we do this, there is no taking it back. No negotiating. No settlement. We burn every bridge. We salt the earth. I am sure. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice had changed, gotten harder, more determined, like a weapon being drawn from its sheath. Okay then, let us go to war. Claire hung up, looked at Paula, felt something she had not felt in 3 years. Power, real power, the power that comes from having nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. Paula raised her coffee cup in a toast. To burning bridges, Paula said. Claire picked up her own cup. The cheap institutional coffee that tasted like survival, and building better ones. 3 days later, courthouse steps, 2 weeks before Preston's scheduled IPO, 1 week before Claire's due date. The timing was deliberate, calculated. Marcus said they needed to strike while the stakes were highest, before Preston could find another way to silence them. Before the IPO went through and the money was protected. Claire stood behind a podium that had been set up on the courthouse steps. 9 months pregnant, simple blue dress that Beth had helped her choose. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive, just a woman telling her truth. Behind her stood the people who had believed her when no one else did. Marcus in his rumpled suit, Beth in her nurse's scrubs because she had come straight from a shift, Trevor looking terrified but determined, Grace with tears already streaming down her face. Her family, not by blood, not by marriage, by choice. In front of her, the cameras. Every local news station, tech journalists who smelled blood in the water, financial reporters who had been digging into Montgomery Digital for months, even national outlets who had picked up the story of the pregnant wife and the billionaire husband. Claire's hands shook. She pressed them against her belly, felt Hope kick, like she was saying, go ahead, like she was saying, tell them, like she was saying, we are in this together. Claire took a breath, looked at the cameras, looked at the reporters, looked at the microphones waiting to capture every word, and she began. My name is Claire Montgomery. 3 years ago, I married a man named Preston Montgomery. I thought he was the love of my life. I thought we were building a future together. I thought that when I got pregnant with our daughter, we would be a family. I was wrong. Her voice shook on that last word, but she kept going. On Christmas Eve, 8 months pregnant, I was locked out of my own home. Every lock had been changed. Every code had been reset. Every door was closed to me. And inside, my husband was throwing a party with his mistress, while I stood in the snow and begged to be let in. She paused, let the words sink in, watched the reporter's scribbling notes. But that is not why I am here today. I am not here because my husband cheated on me. I am not here because he abandoned me. I am here because Preston Montgomery is a fraud, and I have the evidence to prove it. She told the marriage everything, the prenup she had been tricked into signing while sick with morning sickness, the emails from 18 months ago where Preston planned to claim she was mentally unstable, the financial fraud, the shell companies, the offshore accounts, the IPO valuation that was based on fabricated numbers. Then Trevor stepped forward, his hands shaking, his voice trembling, but his words clear. My name is Trevor Walsh. I was Preston Montgomery's business partner for 7 years. I watched him build a company on lies. I watched him deceive investors. I watched him plan to destroy his wife and take her child. And I stayed silent because I was afraid. Trevor's voice broke. I am not afraid anymore. Montgomery Digital Solutions is built on fraud. From the ground up, the revenue numbers are fake, the partnerships are fake, the valuation is fake, and I have documentation to prove every word. He held up a folder, thick with papers. The evidence of 7 years of deception, a commotion in the crowd. Claire looked up. Preston was pushing through the reporters. Vanessa beside him, 3 lawyers trailing behind trying to keep up. His face was red, furious, terrified. Nothing like the polished tech mogul from the magazine covers. Nothing like the confident husband who had locked her out on Christmas Eve. This is slander, Preston shouted, his voice cracking. I will sue every one of you. This is lies and defamation, and I will destroy anyone who repeats a single word of this. Claire felt something strange, not fear, not anger, something calmer, clearer. She looked at him, really looked, at this man she had loved, this man she had married, this man she had built a life around, and she saw him clearly for the first time. A small man, a scared man, a con artist watching his con fall apart. Sue me, Claire said. Her voice was steady, calm. The microphones caught every word. Please, I would love to see you explain these emails in court, under oath, in front of a judge and jury. She pulled out her phone, pulled up the email from 18 months ago, the one that had destroyed everything she thought she knew. And she read it out loud. The wife wants a baby. This complicates things but might work in our favor. Play devoted husband for another year. Then we file. Claim she is unstable postpartum. I get everything, including the kid, for leverage. The crowd went silent. The camera zoomed in on Preston's face, on his horror, on the moment he realized he had lost. Claire kept reading. She will have nothing. Wait for my signal. She looked up from her phone, met Preston's eyes. That is what my husband wrote about me, she said. That is what the father of my child planned to do. Use our daughter as leverage. Have me declared insane. Take everything and leave me with nothing. A reporter called out. Mrs. Montgomery, what do you want from this? What are you hoping to accomplish? Claire thought about the question. The question she had been asking herself for weeks. I want the truth to matter, she said finally. I want my daughter to grow up knowing her mother fought for what was right. I want investors to know who they are trusting with their money. And I want every woman who has ever been locked out, literally or figuratively, to know that the door only has power if you keep trying to get back in. She paused, felt hope kick. Sometimes the answer is not to beg. Sometimes the answer is not to plead. Sometimes the answer is to build your own damn house. The reporters erupted with questions. Preston's lawyers were pulling him away. Vanessa was crying, the cameras were flashing. Claire turned to walk to Marcus's car. The plan was to leave quickly, get ahead of the chaos. And then she felt it. A rush of warmth between her legs, a gush of fluid, a sensation that every pregnant woman knows and dreads and hopes for all at once. Her water had broken, right there. Courthouse steps, cameras rolling, reporters filming. Beth was at her side instantly. Nurse mode activated. Okay, Beth said. Contractions. How far apart? Claire looked down at herself, at the puddle, at the absolute absurdity of the timing. That was the first one, she said, and then she started to laugh, because of course this would happen now. Of course her daughter would choose this exact moment to announce her arrival. I hope you got good footage, Claire told the reporters through her laughter. This baby is going to want to know what her mother was doing when she decided to arrive. Labor started in the ambulance. The paramedics were professional, calm. They had seen this before. Pregnant women going into labor in strange places. But Claire doubted they had ever seen anything quite like this. Ma'am, one of them said. He was young, maybe 25, trying not to stare at the courthouse still visible through the back windows. Ma'am, were you just on television? Claire laughed, or tried to. Another contraction was building. She could feel it coming like a wave in the distance. Getting closer, getting bigger. Claire managed to say, I was destroying my husband's company. And then my water broke. The paramedic blinked, looked at his partner, looked back at Claire. That is, he said slowly, the most badass thing I have ever heard. The contraction hit. Claire screamed, grabbed the side rail of the stretcher, rode the wave of pain until it passed. Beth was in the ambulance too, had refused to leave Claire's side, was holding her hands so tight Claire could feel the bones grinding together. You are doing great, Beth said. Breathe, just breathe, in through your nose, out through your mouth. That is it. The ambulance wailed through traffic, sirens blaring, lights flashing. Claire caught glimpses of the city through the small windows, people on sidewalks turning to look, cars pulling over to let them pass. Somewhere out there, her press conference was playing on every news channel. Somewhere out there, Preston's empire was collapsing in real time. Somewhere out there, the world was learning the truth about the man she had married. But in here, in this small metal box hurtling toward the hospital, none of that mattered. Only hope mattered. Only this baby fighting her way into the world. Only the impossible work of bringing life from darkness into light. They arrived at the hospital in 12 minutes. The doors burst open. Nurses were waiting. Someone had called ahead. They knew who was coming. Claire Montgomery, one nurse said, checking a tablet. 9 months pregnant. Water broke approximately 30 minutes ago. Contractions every 4 minutes, Beth supplied, getting closer. They wheeled her through hallways that blurred together. Fluorescent lights passing overhead like highway markers. Faces appearing and disappearing. Voices giving instructions she could barely process. Another contraction. This one stronger than the last. Claire felt like her body was trying to turn itself inside out. Almost there, someone said. Delivery room 2. Let us go. The delivery room was bright, clean, full of equipment Claire did not recognize. Monitors beeped, machines hummed. A team of nurses moved with practiced efficiency. Someone helped her onto the bed. Someone else attached monitors to her belly. Someone started an IV. Someone asked about allergies, medications, birth plan preferences. Claire answered on autopilot. Her mind was somewhere else, floating above her body, watching this all happen to someone else. Is there someone we should call? A nurse asked. The father? Claire almost laughed. The father, Preston, the man who had locked her out in the snow. The man who had written emails about using their daughter as leverage. The man whose empire was crumbling on live television while his wife went into labor. No, Claire said, do not call him. Beth squeezed her hand. Your mom is on her way. She was at the courthouse. She is coming. Grace, her mother, the woman who had driven through the night in her nightgown to rescue her. The woman who had cashed in her late husband's life insurance without hesitation. The woman whose strength Claire was only now beginning to understand. Good, Claire said. I need her here. Another contraction. Longer this time. More intense. Claire felt sweat break out on her forehead, felt her hands clench into fists, felt her whole body become an instrument of pain. "You are doing great," the doctor said. She was older, calm, had probably delivered thousands of babies, 6 centimeters, moving fast. "This baby is ready to meet you." Claire tried to smile, failed. The next 2 hours were a blur of contractions and breathing and counting and waiting. Beth never left her side, held her hand through every wave of pain, told her she was strong when she did not feel strong, reminded her to breathe when she forgot. Grace arrived 45 minutes in, burst through the door like she had been running. Probably had been. "My baby?" Grace said, rushing to Claire's other side, taking her hand up. "My baby is having a baby, Mom." Claire felt tears prick her eyes. "You came." "Of course I came. Wild horses could not keep me away. I was there when you took your first breath. I am going to be here when she takes hers." Another contraction. Claire screamed, actually screamed. The sound ripped out of her throat like something alive, something desperate. "I cannot do this," Claire gasped when it passed. "I cannot. I am not strong enough. This hurts too much. I cannot do this anymore." Beth gripped her hand tighter. "Yes, you can," Beth said. Her voice was fierce, certain, brooking no argument. "You are the strongest person I know. I watched you stand on courthouse steps and destroy a billionaire while 9 months pregnant. I watched you choose truth over $20 million. I watched you refuse to be erased when everyone else would have disappeared." Beth leaned closer, her eyes locked on Claire's. "You can do anything," Beth said. "This is nothing compared to what you have already survived. This pain is temporary. This struggle is temporary. But what comes next? What you are fighting for? That is forever." Claire felt something shift inside her. Not the baby, something else, something deeper. Beth was right. She had survived Preston's betrayal. She had survived being locked out in the snow. She had survived CPS investigations and character assassination and her mother-in-law's conspiracy. She could survive this. She could do this. She could bring her daughter into the world. The doctor checked again. Her expression changed. 10 centimeters, the doctor said. "She is ready. This baby is coming now." Everything moved fast after that. Nurses flooding into the room, equipment being positioned, lights adjusting, the organized chaos of a delivery room preparing for the most important moment. Beth moved to Claire's left side, Grace to her right, both holding her hands, both ready to anchor her through the hardest part. "Okay, Claire," the doctor said. "Next contraction, I want you to push. Big push. Channel everything you have into this. You can do this." The contraction came. Claire pushed, felt the baby move, felt progress, felt the impossible becoming possible inch by inch. "Good," the doctor said. "Excellent. I can see the head." Again with the next one. Claire pushed again, and again, and again. Between contractions, she could hear sounds from the hallway. A commotion, raised voices, someone arguing with security. Beth went to check, came back a minute later with an expression Claire could not read. "Preston is here," Beth had said quietly. "He is demanding to be let in. Says he has a right to be here for the birth of his child." Claire felt her whole body go cold, then hot, then cold again. "Preston. Here. Now. During this moment. After everything he had done. After everything he had planned to do." Her first instinct was panic, pure primal terror. The same terror she had felt standing in the snow on Christmas Eve. The same helplessness she had felt reading those emails at 2 in the morning. But then something else rose up. Something she had not felt before Preston. Something she had lost during those 3 years of marriage and was only now finding again. Strength. Real strength. The kind that comes from knowing exactly who you are and what you are worth. She thought about hope, about her daughter, about the story this little girl would hear someday about her own birth. What did she want that story to be? A story where her mother was so afraid of her father that she could not even face him during labor. A story where fear won. A story where the bad guy got the satisfaction of being kept out. Or a story where her mother was brave. Where she faced the man who had betrayed her and did not flinch. Where she proved that she was not afraid anymore. "Tell him he can come in," Claire said. Beth stared at her. Claire, are you sure? You do not have to do this. I know I do not have to, but I want to. Not for him. Never for him again. For her. Claire put her hand on her belly, felt hope moving, fighting, ready. She deserves to have both parents here for her first breath, Claire said. Not because Preston earned it, he did not, but because she deserves it. Because I want her to know that her mother was brave enough to face anything, even him. Grace squeezed Claire's hand, tears streaming down her face. That is my girl, Grace whispered. That is my brave, beautiful girl. The door opened. Preston walked in slowly, like he was approaching a wounded animal, like he expected to be attacked at any moment. He looked destroyed. His suit was rumpled beyond saving. His tie was gone. His eyes were red and swollen. His face was gray, drawn, like he had aged 10 years in the past 3 hours. Nothing like the polished tech mogul from the magazine covers. Nothing like the confident man who had locked her out on Christmas Eve. Nothing like the calculating monster who had written those emails about using their daughter as leverage. Just a man, a scared, broken, lost man, watching everything he had built crumble while his daughter prepared to enter the world. He opened his mouth, started to speak, started to say something. An apology maybe, an explanation, an excuse. Claire held up her hand. Another contraction was coming. She could feel it building like thunder before a storm. She did not have energy for his words, did not want his words. Not now, maybe not ever. You can stay for the birth, Claire said. Her voice was steady, calm, powerful, because this baby deserves both parents here. But that is it. After she is born, you step back. You do not touch me. You do not talk to me. We let the courts decide everything else. Preston nodded, could not seem to find words. Probably for the first time in his life, he had nothing to say. He walked to the corner of the room, stood there like a ghost, like a man haunting his own life, like someone who was present but already gone. Claire dismissed him from her mind, turned her attention back to what mattered, to the only thing that had ever really mattered, her daughter, her future, her hope. Okay, Claire, the doctor said. I can see the whole head now. One more big push. This is it. This is the moment. Claire gathered herself, gathered every ounce of strength she had left, every moment of rage and fear and determination from the past 6 weeks, every tear she had cried, every night she had spent on shelter beds, every second she had stood in the snow while Preston partied inside. She gathered the 18 months of lies, the prenup she had been tricked into signing, the emails that had revealed the depth of his betrayal, the conspiracy with his mother, the character assassination, the CPS investigation. She gathered the $20 million she had turned down, the truth she had chosen instead, the courthouse steps where she had refused to stay silent. She gathered all of it, every painful, terrible, beautiful moment of her journey from invisible wife to unstoppable mother. And she pushed it all into this one final effort. For a moment, there was nothing but pressure and pain and the overwhelming sense of something too big trying to pass through something too small. And then, release, a cry high and strong and furious, the most beautiful sound Claire had ever heard in her life. A baby's cry, her baby's cry. Hope's first announcement to the world. I'm here, I am alive. I matter. She is here, the doctor said. She is here, and she is perfect. 7 pounds, 3 ounces of angry, beautiful baby girl. Red-faced and screaming, fists clenched like she was ready to fight. Already fierce, already determined, already exactly like her mother. The nurse placed her on Claire's chest, skin to skin, heart to heart, still connected by the cord, still technically one person becoming two. Claire looked down at her daughter, at those tiny, perfect fingers, at those clenched little fists, at that scrunched up face still wet with the evidence of her journey into the world, at those eyes, dark blue and ancient, like she had been alive for 1,000 years instead of 30 seconds, like she already knew everything that mattered. Hi, Claire whispered, her voice cracked, tears streaming down her face. Hi, baby girl. I am your mom. I am your mom, and I love you so much already. And you just helped me save both our lives. The baby stopped crying, looked up at Claire with those ancient eyes, blinked once, twice, like she was saying, I know, like she was saying, I was waiting for you, like she was saying, we are going to be okay. Beth was crying openly now, ugly crying, the kind of crying that did not care about appearance or dignity. She is beautiful, Beth sobbed. She is absolutely perfect. Claire, she is everything. Grace was weeping too, 60 years old and weeping like a child. My grandbaby, Grace whispered. My beautiful grandbaby. She looks just like you did when you were born. Claire could not stop looking at her daughter, could not stop touching those tiny fingers, could not stop breathing in that newborn smell that was somehow already the best smell in the world. From the corner, quiet, broken, a voice she had loved once. What is her name? Claire looked up, met Preston's eyes across the room, saw the tears on his face, saw the devastation, saw the realization of everything he had lost. For a moment she felt something, not love, not anymore, maybe never again, but something, recognition maybe, of the man he could have been, of the life they could have had, of the loss that belonged to him more than anyone. Then she looked back at her daughter, at the embodiment of everything she had fought for, at the future she had chosen truth to protect. Hope, Claire said. Her name is Hope. She paused. Let the name settle into the room like a blessing. Hope Grace Montgomery. Grace after my mother. The woman who taught me what real strength looks like. And Hope because that is what she is. That is what she represents. That is what I found when I thought I had lost everything. Hope opened her eyes again, looked at her mother, made a small sound that might have been agreement. Welcome to the world, baby girl, Claire whispered. It is messy and hard and sometimes people will try to break you. But I promise you this, I will always fight for you. I will always protect you. I will always choose you over everything else. Over money, over comfort, over my own heart. She kissed Hope's forehead, felt the warmth of new life against her lips. You are worth more than $20 million, Claire continued. You are worth more than mansions and IPOs and all the money in the world. You are worth everything I had to give up to keep you safe. The baby yawned, exhausted from being born, from fighting her way into existence. And someday, Claire whispered, I am going to tell you this story about how you were born on the same day your mama chose truth over money, about how you came into the world while your daddy's empire fell apart, about how you were the best thing that ever happened to me. Hope fell asleep, that complete trust that only newborns have, that certainty that the world was safe because mama was holding her. Claire held her daughter close, let her own tears fall, let herself feel everything she had been too scared to feel for 6 weeks. Joy, real joy, the kind she had forgotten existed. From the corner, Preston watched, a ghost at his own daughter's birth, present but already gone, seeing but not touching, part of this moment but separate from it forever. Claire did not look at him again, did not need to. This was her moment, her victory, her beginning, and he was just someone who used to matter. The weeks after Hope's birth moved like water finding its level, fast at first, then slower, then settling into something that looked almost like normal. Preston's legal troubles multiplied daily. Every morning brought new headlines, new investigations, new lawsuits. The SEC expanded their probe. Subpoenas went out to every officer and director of Montgomery Digital Solutions. Forensic accountants descended on the company's books like locusts on a wheat field. The FBI opened a criminal investigation, focused on wire fraud, securities fraud, conspiracy, the kind of charges that came with decades of prison time. Class action lawsuits piled up from defrauded investors, people who had trusted Preston with their retirement accounts, pension funds that had believed his inflated numbers, individual investors who had bet their savings on a company that was worth a fraction of what he had claimed. The board removed Preston as CEO 3 days after Hope was born, a unanimous vote. The same people who had praised his vision and celebrated his success were now running as fast as they could in the opposite direction. His partners abandoned him. His friends disappeared. His lawyers started sending their bills to collection agencies because he could not pay them anymore. The company's true value emerged slowly, like a body surfacing from deep water. 50 million, maybe 60. Not the 400 million Preston had promised investors. Not even close. His fortune evaporated. The houses went first, then the cars, then the accounts. Frozen, seized, claimed by creditors and victims in the endless machinery of legal accountability. Constance Montgomery hired her own lawyers, claimed she had known nothing about her son's fraud, was just a concerned mother, was just trying to protect her grandchild from an unstable daughter-in-law. No one believed her, but she had her own money, her own resources, her own ability to delay justice through procedural maneuvers and expensive attorneys. Claire did not care about Constance anymore, did not care about Preston, did not care about any of them. She had hope. She had her family. She had herself. That was enough. That was everything. The settlement negotiations were brutal, but brief. Preston's leverage was gone. His threats were empty. His power had evaporated like morning fog. Marcus handled most of it, called Claire only when decisions needed to be made. They are offering 1.5 million, Marcus said one afternoon. Claire was feeding hope, watching her daughter's perfect lips work at the bottle. Full custody, standard visitation for Preston once he completes rehabilitation and parenting courses. Claire did not hesitate. No standard visitation, supervised only, at a family center with trained monitors present. And the money is not enough. He hid assets. We both know it. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then she heard him smile through the phone. I will counter with 2.5 million in supervised visitation contingent on completion of a batterer's intervention program. He did not batter me, not physically. Psychological abuse counts. Financial abuse counts. What he did to you was violence, Claire. The courts are starting to recognize that. Final terms came through 2 weeks later. Claire was giving Hope a bath, watching her daughter splash in the water, marveling at how someone so small could be so perfect. 2.3 million after legal fees and taxes, Marcus said. Full custody, supervised visitation twice a week at a family center. Contingent on Preston completing parenting classes, therapy, and a financial crimes restitution program. He also cannot take Hope out of state without court approval, cannot post about her on social media, cannot discuss the custody arrangement publicly. Claire lifted Hope from the bath, wrapped her in a soft towel, held her close. And the fraud charges? Separate from the divorce. But the prosecutor is building a strong case. My guess is he pleads guilty to reduced charges, serves 2 to 5 years, gets out and has to start over completely. Good. Claire surprised herself with how little she felt. No triumph, no satisfaction, no joy at Preston's destruction, just relief, just peace, just the quiet certainty that justice had been served and she could move on. The money arrived in her account 3 days later. She stared at the number for a long time. $2.3 million. More money than she had ever seen. More money than she had ever imagined having. Not 20 million. Not even close. But enough. She found an apartment that same week. 2 bedrooms in a quiet neighborhood. Good schools nearby, even though Hope would not need them for years. A park within walking distance. A grocery store around the corner. Nothing fancy. Nothing luxurious. Nothing like the mansion she had lived in for 3 years. But actually hers. Paid for with her own money. Earned through her own fight. Filled with her own choices. She painted the nursery herself. Soft yellow walls with white trim. A mural of stars and moons that she stayed up late finishing because Hope deserved something beautiful. Her art studio took up the 2nd bedroom. Easels and canvases and paints that smelled like possibility. The tools of a career she had abandoned when she married Preston and was only now reclaiming. She started painting again the week they moved in. Hope in a bassinet beside her easel. Sleeping while Claire worked. Growing while her mother created. The first painting was the locked door. The mansion on Christmas Eve. Snow falling, lights glowing from inside. A woman's silhouette visible through the beveled glass. Hand on the doorknob. Being locked out. She called it the moment everything changed. The second painting was the shelter bathroom. Cold tiles. Fluorescent light. A pregnant woman reading emails on her phone. The moment of discovery. The moment of destruction. The moment of awakening. She called it what I found in the dark. The third painting was the courthouse steps. A woman at a microphone, 9 months pregnant, simple blue dress. Behind her, people who believed in her. In front of her, cameras waiting to capture truth. She called it The Day I Stopped Being Quiet. A gallery owner saw the paintings on Claire's social media, called her the next day. Wanted to show the whole series. Wanted to build an exhibition around her story. 3 months after Hope's birth, Claire stood in that gallery, watching strangers look at her pain transformed into art. Watching women cry in front of the locked door painting. Watching men stand uncomfortable before the bathroom floor. Critics called her voice authentic, powerful, necessary. Said she was painting the experience of millions of women. Said she was giving form to feelings that had no words. The paintings sold, all of them, for more money than Claire had ever earned from her art before. A museum called the next week wanted 3 pieces for their spring showcase. A permanent collection might follow if the reception was strong. Claire said yes. Of course she said yes. Beth came over that night. Brought takeout, Chinese food from the place around the corner that had become their regular spot. They sat on Claire's living room floor, Hope on a blanket between them, grabbing at toys, missing them, trying again. 6 months old and already learning that failure was just practice for success. I still cannot believe you turned down $20 million, Beth said. Between bites of lo mein, I can. Most people would have taken it. Signed the NDA, stayed quiet, lived comfortably forever. Nobody would have blamed you. Claire watched her daughter reach for a stuffed elephant. Miss it, reach again, get closer. I thought about it, Claire admitted. For about 5 minutes, maybe less. I thought about the house I could buy, the security I could have, the life I could give Hope, and then I thought about what I would be teaching her, what she would learn about the world if I stayed silent for money. Claire picked up Hope, held her close, felt the weight of her daughter against her chest. Solid, real, perfect. I would be teaching her that silence can be bought, Claire continued. That truth has a price. That powerful men can do whatever they want as long as they pay enough to make people look away. She looked at Beth, at her best friend, at the woman who had rescued her from the snow and never asked for anything in return. I wanted her to know something different, Claire said. I wanted her to know that her mother chose truth even when it cost everything, that some things matter more than comfort, that integrity is worth more than millions. Beth was quiet for a moment, really looking at Claire, seeing her. You are different, Beth said finally. You know that, right? Stronger, more certain, more yourself than you have ever been. Claire smiled, felt it spread through her whole body, felt the truth of it settle into her bones. I found out what I was made of, she said. Turns out it was more than I thought. Her phone buzzed. Gallery notification, another painting inquiry. The museum wanted to discuss the spring showcase. A journalist wanted an interview. A women's shelter wanted her to speak at their fundraising gala. The world wanted pieces of Claire now, wanted her story, her voice, her truth. She would give them what she could, share what felt right, keep what needed protecting. But she would never be quiet again, never be invisible, never pretend that powerful men could do whatever they wanted without consequence. She had paid too high a price to learn that lesson. She would not waste it. Hope reached up, grabbed a fistful of Claire's hair, held on tight. You know what, baby girl? Claire whispered. You and me. We are going to be okay. Better than okay. We are going to be happy. The real kind. The kind that does not depend on anyone else's money or approval or permission. Hope babbled something that might have been mama, or might have been nothing. Claire chose to believe it was agreement. Christmas Eve, 1 year exactly since the locked door. Claire stood at her apartment window, Hope in her arms. Outside, snow was falling. Fat white flakes drifting down past the streetlights, covering the city in white, making everything look clean and new and full of possibility, the same snow that had fallen last year. When she had stood outside the mansion, locked out, pregnant, terrified, watching her husband party with his mistress through beveled glass doors. The same snow. But nothing else was the same. Hope was 9 months old now, almost walking, already cruising along furniture, holding on with her tiny hands, taking tentative steps toward independence, already saying words. Mama, Beth, no. The vocabulary of a child learning that she had opinions and a voice to express them. She had Claire's eyes, dark and determined. She had Preston's chin, strong and stubborn. But her spirit was all her own, fierce and curious and utterly unafraid of the world. Claire held her daughter close, watched the snow fall together. You know what happened a year ago tonight? Claire said softly. Hope babbled something. Looked at her mother with those ancient eyes that sometimes seemed to understand everything. I was standing in the snow, Claire continued. Just like this snow, outside a big house that I thought was my home. I was 8 months pregnant with you, and I was locked out. Hope reached for the window, tried to touch the snowflakes through the glass, believed she could hold something that beautiful in her tiny hands. Your daddy was inside, Claire said, with another woman, having a party, and I was outside in the cold, begging to be let back in, begging for someone to see me. The words did not hurt anymore. That was the strangest part. A year ago, these words would have destroyed her, would have sent her spiraling into panic and grief and despair. Now they were just facts, just history, just the story of how she got from there to here. I thought my life was ending, Claire whispered. I thought I had lost everything. I thought there was nothing left. Hope made a sound, might have been a question, might have been just noise, but it was not ending, baby girl. Claire kissed her daughter's forehead. It was beginning, I just did not know it yet. I lost a life built on lies, and I found one built on truth. I lost a house that was never really mine, and I found a home that actually is. From the kitchen, sounds of laughter. Beth and Trevor arguing about how much garlic to put in the sauce. The same argument they had every time they cooked together. The kind of argument that was really just love wearing a funny costume. They were engaged now, wedding planned for summer. Trevor had proposed on the courthouse steps. The same steps where Claire had told her truth. The same steps where Hope had decided to be born. Full circle. Grace was setting the table, humming Christmas carols, crying occasionally because she was a grandmother now, and grandmothers cried at everything beautiful. The family Claire had built, not by blood, not by marriage, by choice, by showing up, by staying. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Saw your museum showcase announcement. Congratulations. Incredible work. Hope is lucky. Signed P. Claire looked at the text for a long moment. Preston, reaching out on the anniversary of the worst night of her life. The night he had locked her out. The night he had destroyed everything. He was in prison now. Minimum security facility upstate. 2 years for financial fraud. The plea deal had reduced his charges significantly, but he was still behind bars. Still paying for what he had done. Claire felt nothing reading his words. No anger, no pain, no triumph, no satisfaction. Just acceptance. Just the quiet peace of having moved on completely. She typed back, thank you. She sees you tomorrow at 3. Do not be late. That was enough. That was all the relationship they needed now. Respectful co-parents. People who shared a child. Nothing more. Nothing less. He would be released in 8 months. Would have to rebuild his life from scratch. Would have to become someone different if he wanted any real relationship with his daughter. That was his journey, his responsibility, his choice. Claire could not make it for him, could not carry his redemption on her shoulders along with everything else. All she could do was leave the door open and wait to see if he walked through it as a better man. She deleted the conversation, put down her phone, looked at her daughter. Hope was staring at the snow, mesmerized, reaching for it over and over, not frustrated by the glass between her and the beautiful white flakes, just determined, just certain that somehow, someday, she would touch what she was reaching for. Here is what I want you to know, baby girl, Claire said. She spoke quietly, just to Hope, just to the future. Some people will try to make you feel small, will try to make you invisible, will try to convince you that you are worth less than everything, that your voice does not matter, that your truth is not important. Hope's eyes started to droop, fighting sleep like she always did. determined to stay awake for everything, to miss nothing. Do not let them, Claire whispered. Do not ever let them. You are worth fighting for. You are worth the truth. You are worth building something new when the old thing falls apart. You are worth every hard choice and every scary moment, and every time you have to stand up when it would be easier to stay down. The baby's eyes closed, opened, closed again. The surrender of exhaustion winning over determination. I am going to tell you this story someday, Claire continued, when you are old enough to understand. I am going to tell you about the snow and the locked door and the party inside and the woman who would not let me in. Hope's breathing was slowing. Evening out, the rhythm of sleep beginning. I am going to tell you about the emails I found at 2 in the morning, about the choice I had to make, about the $20 million I turned down because I wanted you to have a mother with integrity more than a mother with money. The baby was asleep now, completely surrendered, that perfect trust that only children have, that certainty that tomorrow would come and mama would be there. And I am going to tell you the most important part, Claire whispered, the part that took me too long to learn. She held her daughter closer, felt the warmth of her, the weight of her, the absolute miracle of her. If anyone ever locks you out, Claire said, build your own damn house. That is what Montgomery women do. Beth called from the kitchen. Dinner is ready. Get in here before Trevor eats all the garlic bread. I am not kidding, Claire. He has already eaten 3 pieces. The man is a garlic bread monster. Claire smiled, carried her sleeping daughter toward the warmth and light and laughter. Tomorrow there would be more challenges, more struggles, more moments when life was hard and scary and uncertain. That was just living. That was just being human. Hope would wake up at 2 in the morning probably, would need feeding and changing and comforting. Claire would stumble to her crib, half asleep, and pick her up and rock her back to sleep and feel more tired than she had ever felt in her life, and more grateful, more alive, more herself. That was the trade-off. Exhaustion for meaning, struggle for purpose, hard work for real love. Claire would take that trade every single time. She sat down at the table, let Grace take Hope so she could eat, held Beth's hand during the blessing. Trevor insisted on saying, even though no one in the room was particularly religious. We are grateful, Trevor said, for this food, for this family, for the journey that brought us here, for the strength that got us through, for the love that holds us together. Amen, they all said, and meant it. The meal was simple. Pasta and salad and garlic bread and wine for the adults and sparkling cider for Claire, because she was still nursing. But it tasted better than anything Claire had ever eaten in the mansion. Better than catered parties and country club brunches and 5-star restaurants. Because this meal was real. Made by people who loved her. Shared with people who had shown up when she needed them. Tell us about the museum showcase, Grace said. I want to know everything. So Claire told them about the curator who had seen her paintings and cried, about the exhibition space that would hold 30 pieces, about the catalog that would include her story, about the opening night gala where survivors of domestic abuse would be honored guests. That is incredible, Beth said. You are incredible. We are incredible, Claire corrected. I did not do any of this alone. You rescued me from the snow. Mom gave me everything she had saved. Marcus took my case for free. Trevor risked his career to get those emails. She looked around this table, at these faces she loved, these people who had become her family. I would not be here without all of you, Claire said. Hope would not be here. None of this would exist. That is what family does, Grace said simply. We show up. We stay. We fight for each other. To family, Trevor said, raising his glass. To family, they all echoed. Hope woke up then, started crying, that sharp newborn cry that meant hunger or discomfort or just the overwhelming experience of being alive. I have got her, Beth said, jumping up, reaching for Hope. You finish eating. Claire watched her best friend pick up her daughter, watched Beth's face transform with love, watched Hope quiet immediately, recognizing the arms that held her. Aunt Beth, she thought, that is who you are going to be, the best aunt in the world. After dinner, they moved to the living room, put on Christmas music, watched the lights on the tree blink in patterns that Hope found fascinating. Claire sat on the couch with her daughter in her arms, watching her baby watch the lights, feeling the weight of this moment, the ordinary, extraordinary miracle of being alive and safe and loved. A year ago, she had been standing in the snow, locked out, terrified, pregnant with this same baby who was now 9 months old and reaching for Christmas lights. A year, 52 weeks, 365 days. So much had changed. So much had been lost. So much had been found. She had lost a husband, but she had never really had one. Not the way she thought. She had lost a mansion, but it had never really been her home. Just a pretty prison she had decorated herself. She had lost money. Not $20 million, but still significant. Could have had so much more if she had been willing to stay quiet. But what she had found was worth more than everything she had lost. She had found herself, her voice, her strength, her art. She had found her daughter, her family, her home. She had found truth and learned that truth was worth fighting for, even when it cost everything. Outside, the snow kept falling. Inside, they were finally home. Claire looked at Hope one more time, at this perfect person she had made, at this future she had protected. "You know what?" Claire whispered. "This is what winning looks like." Hope babbled something that definitely sounded like Mama this time. "Not $20 million, Claire continued. Not a mansion. Not the approval of a man who never deserved me." Hope reached up, touched Claire's face with tiny fingers. "Just this," Claire said. "Just love. Just truth. Just a life that is actually mine." She kissed her daughter's forehead, breathed in that baby smell that was already starting to fade as Hope grew. "And you," Claire whispered, "you are the best part. You are worth every hard choice, every scary moment, every tear I cried, every night I spent in that shelter, every second I stood in the snow." Hope yawned, ready for bed, ready for tomorrow. "We are going to be okay," Claire said. "Better than okay. We are going to be happy. The real kind. The messy kind. The kind you have to fight for." She stood up, carried her daughter to the nursery, laid her gently in the crib she had painted yellow because yellow was the color of hope and sunshine and new beginnings. "Good night, baby girl," Claire whispered. "Merry Christmas." Hope's eyes closed. Sleep coming fast now. Trust coming easy. Claire watched her for a moment, then walked back to the living room, to her family, to her life. Beth was pouring more cider. Trevor was telling a story about something that had happened at work. Grace was laughing so hard she was crying again. Claire sat down among them. Let their love wash over her. Let this moment be enough. Outside, the snow kept falling. Somewhere in the city, other women were standing in their own snow, locked out of their own lives, wondering if they would survive, wondering if there was anything left after the door closed. Claire wished she could tell them what she knew now. That locked doors are not endings. They are invitations. That the worst thing that ever happens to you might be the best thing. That sometimes you have to lose everything to find yourself. That you are stronger than you know, braver than you feel, worth more than anyone has ever told you. That the house you build yourself will always be more yours than the one someone else let you live in. That choosing truth over $20 million was not just a decision. It was a declaration of who she was and who she refused to stop being. She raised her glass of sparkling cider. "To building our own houses," Claire said. "To building our own houses," they all echoed. And somewhere outside, the snow kept falling on a world full of locked doors and women who were just beginning to realize they did not have to keep knocking. They could build their own damn houses instead, just like Claire had, just like Claire always would. If Claire's story touched your heart, I need you to do something for me. Hit that like button. Right now, it takes 1 second, but it tells me you want more stories about women who refuse to stay silent. More stories about truth winning. More stories about building your own house when someone else locks you out. And if you know someone going through hard times right now, a friend questioning her marriage, a sister fighting her own battle, a daughter learning what real strength looks like, a mother who needs to remember she is worth more than she has been told, share this with her. Sometimes a story is exactly what someone needs to feel less alone. Sometimes hearing about someone else's survival is what gives us permission to start our own. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another story. Every week, we bring you tales of women who found their power, women who refused to be erased, women who chose truth when lies would have been easier. Drop a comment below. Tell me, what would you have done in Claire's shoes? Would you have taken the 20 million home? Would you have stayed quiet for security? Or would you have burned it all down for truth? I read every single comment, every single one. Until next time, remember, locked doors are not endings. They are invitations to build something better. And you, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever snow you are standing in right now, you are worth more than you know. You are stronger than you feel. You deserve a house that is actually yours. So build it.